there is a slight delay on the live stream, so just aware that we might have a slight delay before we start. Good, yes, Karen says okay. So hi, so good to meet you. I can't see you, but I know you're there. So I'm Darren. I am the Chief Operating Officer for Brightest Education, so we own the school, and I'm also I'm
Hi,
here.
everyone.
Oops, sorry, one
I
moment.
just want to do a very quick check just to make sure you can hear me. So,
Sorry, I just had myself on the video talking to myself. That was kind of strange. Yeah, so I am here as Chief Operating Officer for the group, but also here to support the school as Executive Principal. So working very closely with Karen and with Stephen in the secondary school. But I'm actually wanting to talk to you from my home here just a little way. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. I've done something to my back, which is making it quite hard for me to be particularly mobile. So if you see me fidgeting around a bit, you'll know why. But I actually want to talk to you this morning about something which has become a real passion of mine, something which I really firmly believe will radically alter not just education, but the world in general. We've known about artificial intelligence actually for quite a long time. It's been on our radars for, I mean, actually 50 years, really, since the first kind of artificial intelligence machines were around with Turing and the very, very famous Turing test in the 1950s. But really, it's only been in the last kind of 5 to 10 years, I suppose, that things have really started to accelerate. But actually, it's only been in the last sort of 6 months or so, and I would say probably even only in the last 3 months or so, that things are really hitting the mainstream. And what we're seeing with two AIs that I'm going to show you this morning, ChatGPT, which is what they call a large language model. And essentially, it's a very, very sophisticated chat bot. And then the text to image AIs as well. And there are 3 or 4 of those. And I want to show you a couple of those this morning. And I hope my internet holds out. It can be a little bit dodgy at times. So I know Karen will send me a message if suddenly I disappear and I'm talking to myself. So I want to talk to you about ChatGPT first. So ChatGPT, lots of people have heard of. It's becoming really popular. As I said, it's really hitting the mainstream. And it's essentially a very, very, very large database of language. The company behind ChatGPT, a company called OpenAI, they've trained this artificial intelligence model on vast amounts of text, vast amounts of text, pretty much the whole of Wikipedia, most of the internet, most of social media. They went through a period where they trained this artificial intelligence model. Think of it a bit like training a dog, okay? So you get a dog, you get a puppy, before you let it out into the open and meet people and be sociable, you kind of train the dog. Well, some people do, some people don't. But in this case, they've trained this model on vast amounts of text. And they released this model into the wild in the form of ChatGPT at the end of November last year, so about three and a half months ago. And since then, it's gone from strength to strength. Because it's artificially intelligent, it's teaching itself and it's training itself, and it's getting better and better and better. The way it works is like having a conversation, okay? And the best way to think about ChatGPT is imagining you have someone beside you who's super clever, doesn't always get it right, and sometimes can hallucinate a bit. You need to be mindful of that. It's not perfect, not yet, but it's super clever, and you can ask it stuff if you don't know, and it will help you and it will answer you. Where it's really good is when it's structuring information and it's ordering logical information. I'll show you some examples. But just in case you weren't sure about how mainstream ChatGPT is already becoming, let me just share something with you here. So what we can see already is that in the UAE, we've got their schools who are already going to be bringing ChatGPT into the classroom. So they're going to be teaching students how to use ChatGPT. We're doing it as well, by the way. So we're one of the first schools in the world to be doing this, and we've already started. So we're even ahead of the UAE. Because unless we teach students how to use these tools properly, then they're just going to use them to cheat. They are, because sadly, this is the nature of human nature. If we find something to take a shortcut, some kids will use it well, but some kids will not use it well. So we need to make sure we're using it well. But also, one other here, sorry, here we are. The IB as well are going to be, one second, I'm just hiding, there we are. The IB are also, there we are. The IB are also going to allow ChatGPT to be used, to be cited as a source in essays. And that's a big deal. The International Baccalaureate is the world's largest exam board, so it covers the entire planet, schools all over the world. I think it's the biggest exam board in the world, and they're allowing ChatGPT to be used as a source. So I think this shows you just how important it is that we're teaching students how to use it properly. And what I have done recently is I wrote an article for quite a popular online magazine, talking about the need to teach children what I've called literacy for AI, okay? Because we need to teach a new type of literacy, and it's the way in which we generate text and images using what we call a prompt, which is just like a command that we put into one of these AIs. It's critically important that we do that well so that students can, and ourselves, teachers, can use it well. So I'm going to give you a demo, okay? I'm going to show you 2 or 3 ways that you can use these 2 AIs that I've talked about. And I'm going to use ChatGPT, and I'm going to use a text-to-image AI called Midjourney. There are several. There's Stable Diffusion, there's DALL-E. There are several of these, but for me, the best one is a text-to-image AI called Midjourney. But I'm going to start with ChatGPT. Now, I'm actually going to use the most recent version. So the version that came out in November was called 3.5, but I'm a big geek. And so I've actually paid for the most recent version, which is GPT-4. And it is head and shoulders better than the old one. It is a much more intelligent artificial intelligence. It's the same model in the background. It's the same text in the background. But the way the AI works is much, much more sophisticated. So I'm going to give you a few scenarios, and I'm going to picture myself as a parent, as I am. So I'm a parent of 3 children. So how would I use this now as a parent? So my eldest daughter, she's just about to go into her GCSEs. So she's 15, she's just about to turn 16, and she's just about to go into her GCSEs. So what I might do as a parent is I might ask it a question. So I might say something like this: please, can you give me some tips about how to help my child revise for their GCSE exam? Okay, so I'm just asking a very simple question. Okay, so it's then going to give me an answer. Okay, so you think, well, you could have just gone online to get that. But the thing to say about anything that this model spits out, it is completely original. It's taking vast amounts of data, but what it's producing is not copy-pasted from elsewhere. Now, one concern that lots of parents and educators have is, well, kids will just use to cheat, because I could write an essay title and I could say, give me a 1,000-word essay on this title, and it will do it, and it will do it quite well. But this is why we have to train teachers as well as students and parents so that we are looking out for this. Because if we know that this is out there in the world, so I'm an English teacher, I will know within a few weeks exactly the writing style of my students. And so I will know straight away if they've used this, because you will notice it has a certain style, okay, has a certain written style. So providing we know from very early on that there will be, sadly, some kids who will do this. There will be some children who will use this inappropriately, and we're on the lookout for it. We can use it well. We can use it properly. So you can see, look, just gives me some. Okay, so it might say, so I say, okay, so it's given me an overview. Well, let's pick the first one. Can you give me a study schedule in table format to revise GCSE chemistry for 10 weeks, 5 hours per week. Okay, so now it's going to give me a bit more detail. So it's going to break this down into table format and show me a table with weeks. Now, this is all, I'm just making this up in my head as I'm going. None of this has been pre-prepared at all. This is all happening live. So you can now see it's going to break down the topics week by week, lesson by lesson, topic by topic. And you can see it'll do it quite quick. It'll do it quickly, and it will do it accurately. And you can even specify the exam board. So we're CIE, Cambridge. It could be AQA, it could be edXL. Because it's trained on so much data, it can actually pull all of this data, and it can then use this intelligently to give you a plan, give you a structure. Okay, so you can see there straight away, as a tool for organization, it's actually really, really helpful. I'll just stop generating there because it will take too long. But you can see, look, it's even telling me Monday to Friday. It's even worked out. I haven't taught any of this. Well, Monday to Friday, kids don't want to work at the weekend. So I'm going to give it an hour a day for, 1 hour on atomic structure, 1 hour on bonding. And then I can do this, look. I can just copy that, okay? And I can say, give me a step-by-step guide to revising atomic structure and period table. Okay, so now what it's going to do, it's going to take that one element, and it's now going to give me a step-by-step. And it's what you'll notice here, and what you learn very quickly, is what I'm talking about, literacy for AI. You need to know what to write. You need to know what to, and step-by-step is a really useful prompt to use, because it will literally do that. It will say, okay, it's thinking, okay, well, it's a logical step-by-step guide to revision. You can do it for any subject. You can do it for anything, any topic, any age group. I'm just using GCSE chemistry because my daughter is literally in a month or two's time about to sit her GCSE chemistry exam, which she's not looking forward to because she's she's a languages person. She's not a science person. So she's already using this quite effectively. So you can see there, I'll just stop it there. Look, you can see it's giving you a really good breakdown. Now, why I think this is so powerful for parents is because you can actually properly support your children with their learning, because you now have access to a resource which will structure time, which will break it down, which will show you assessment criteria, which will do all of that really, really effectively. But you can go even further, because if you ask it, of a student, write a, I'm just going to do a 500-word essay on the role of the witches. Okay. Now I'm going to generate this quickly, and I'm not saying this should be done. I'm just really quickly writing an essay, because I'll show you, imagining this is a student's essay. Okay, so we're just writing this, and you can see how quickly it writes it. I mean, super fast. The new version is even faster than the old version. I'm slightly blown away by how fast this is. It's only been out for a few days. So you can see it's written me an essay. Okay. Now I'm going to say this. This is where you can help with your children's learning at home, because what you can do is this. Okay, grade this essay using, I'm just saying generic GCSE, but you put an exam board, assessment criteria, and give points for improvement. So it says actually it doesn't have access. There are ways of structuring the prompt slightly differently because I'm doing it quite quickly, but then it gives you in a way, it doesn't really matter because it's using generic GCSE criteria to tell you what you can do to improve. So this is where it's super, super helpful for you as parents, because actually you can ask ChatGPT to write the questions. Your students can do the answers. You can then get ChatGPT to assess the work. You can actually take an active part, which I think is really fantastic. You become an active part in their learning because you have this amazing teaching and learning tool. Just worth pointing out here, what's written here, okay? In a way, this isn't plagiarism. In a way, this isn't plagiarism, is it? Because this is not copy-pasted from another source. But we will, in education, still see it as plagiarism. Okay, we will still see this essay written by ChatGPT as plagiarism because it's not the student's own work. So what we're doing is we're redefining what plagiarism is, and we've been told by the exam boards, quite rightly, we need to redefine what plagiarism is. Okay, now I'm going to move on now because for the last 10 minutes, I want to get creative. Okay, so you can see the kind of background structure, slightly almost boring but important stuff that we've just seen here. But what I want to show you now is how you can use ChatGPT plus Midjourney, which I've just talked about, as a tool for creativity. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this. I would like you to imagine fantasy world. Include the landscape, animals, and people who would inhabit it. Okay, so now what it's doing, again, this is all completely made up. Okay, doing nothing, hands behind my back. See my hands here. This is just the AI creating a world from its own kind of surreal imagination. Okay, so the realm of Silvaria. Now, the reason this is really fantastic for children and their literacy and for their creativity is because you can get the AI to kind of make these worlds up, and then the children can use this to take off in their own imagination. Okay, it creates, because this is hard. What they call world building with science fiction writing and fantasy writing, it's a very difficult thing to do well. But what ChatGPT do, it can give them the initial ideas. Think of it as, there are two things I think this is great for, as a springboard for creativity, but also as a way to structure their writing. So back to the essay on Macbeth, you can get ChatGPT to give you the essay plan, and then you can write the essay, because that's really hard for kids. Kids find that really hard. So what we've got here, let me just, I'm going to stop generating now because I want to just show you something quite extraordinary. Okay, so now it's just given me a lovely description of the landscape. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm just going to copy this, okay? And I'm now going to go into this for Midjourney. Now, Midjourney, I won't go into the technicalities behind it because it's a little bit complicated to set up, not hugely complicated, but it's not just, you can't just go onto a website. You've got to go onto Discord, which is like a server, which you've got to download. But I won't go into the details now. But all I'm going to show you is this. I'm just going to copy that in, okay? I'm just going to copy that in. You can actually see some I've already done up here. Which I won't go into now, but I'm going to copy that. And I'm just going to pause just for a moment, because I know that there are some people in the school who might need something translated. So I've been talking quite fast. So just while this is generating, I'm just going to pause for a moment and then give you the opportunity to discuss what you're hearing, just while this is generating. You can see it coming up now. I'm doing nothing. This is all artificial intelligence creating a scene based on that text. Don't ask me how it works. I really don't understand. It's called a diffusion model. It basically has paired millions and millions of photographs and images and paintings with millions of words, and it just has worked through training text, image. And so when it has certain text, it will then generate the image linking to that text. So we can see here Silvaria, and Silvaria sounds kind of soft and gentle and pretty. And interestingly, the description that ChatGPT has come up with. Okay, so let me just show you one of these. Let me look at the last one here. Let's just increase that one a little bit. So there you can see. Again, this is all happening live. I've not planned this. I literally just, ChatGPT created this world, and there is this really quite beautiful world. Again, think about the potential here for creative writing and also art. The idea that we can use this to generate ideas, and then kids can go off and they can take this image and they can people it with animals and what have you. We can also do that. So if we just go back to here, look, at animals. Let's do this, look. Let's go for graceful unicorns, nimble forest sprites, and wise talking owls. Let's just copy that. And let's just go back in here and let's just see what happens. When we just put these three sort of fantasy animals. Now, sometimes when you put more than one animal or person prompt, it can start to get slightly confused. So let's just see. I've got no idea what's going to happen. Sometimes you have to iterate and sort of play around with it a bit to see if it works or not. But sometimes it just creates these really really amazing, very beautiful worlds and creatures. Again, the creative writing, get to generate these lovely creatures, and then the children can write about them. They can create their own graphic novels as well, because you can actually repeat the images throughout the graphic novel, and they can design and create their own graphic novels. There is a debate. Look, there's a debate. Is this going to render artists obsolete? Is this going to mean that we're no longer needing people to... There's a huge debate, but for me, what we're seeing is we're seeing a shift in creativity, and we're seeing the ability now for anyone, I'm not really a very good artist, to be able to create these new worlds and these new creatures. And there we are, look, so it's just about to finish. It's a little bit slow because it's very detailed. It's using a huge amount of data sitting in the background. There we are. So let me just do this number 3. I quite like number 3. It's just about to finish. There we are. So let's just upscale number 3. And what we've got here, look, is we've got some fantasy creatures that we can use to people our world. So I think that's probably enough just to give you an idea about what this new AI is capable of. Just the sheer depth and the breadth, really just scratching the surface at the moment. For me personally, just starting, as I said, these new models have only been out they're so new. The fact we're talking about this now means that we're in the kind of top 1% or 2% in the whole world who even know about these things, because lots of people have no idea about these new AIs, these new models. And it's really, really important that as educators, where we don't have to fully agree or philosophically believe and trust in it all. We don't. In fact, we should go into it with skepticism. But, oh, sorry, Karen said couldn't see the image. Oh, just 1 second, Karen. Let me just show you. 1 second. You wanted to see the final image. Okay, here we go. Share that. Okay, so hopefully you can now see the final images for this fantasy world. So those are the images of the fantasy world, which I think are really lovely. I mean, they're actually quite beautiful, some of them. This one down here in the bottom left is really lovely. So yeah, look, we need to embrace it, not necessarily philosophically agree with everything. That's not our place to do that. Whether we agree or disagree is quite frankly irrelevant. These things are here, and they're going to be more and more they're going to play a more and more important role in our lives. So, at BIST, we're very committed to this. We're very passionate about it. We believe, we have a right and a duty to educate children for the world as it is now, not for some past world that no longer exists, for the world that it is now, to use these tools properly, to use them creatively, and to make sure that all of us can benefit from them Because if we don't, someone else will. And you know, there's a saying now, there'll be two types of people in the world. There'll be people who use AI, and there'll be people who are unsuccessful and don't progress. And I think sadly or not, that is going to happen. It will be people who embrace these technologies and use them productively and use them for good that will be the ones that into the future will be the most successful. And it will be those students particularly who are not embracing these and not working out how to use them properly will be the ones that essentially will probably get left behind. And this is happening fast. This is happening so fast, which is why we're going to keep teaching the children to use it properly, keep upskilling the teachers, and just enjoying the process, because it's, as much as anything, it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to say thank you very much for taking the time to listen. And I'm sure if there are any questions, do feed them back to Karen, but we'll be very happy to continue the debate, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much.